to give people a minute to get on. It doesn't matter if they do get on. And then you'll see it on Facebook. You'll be able to share the link, and then people will be able to comment. And then when they comment, we'll be able to post their comment and see their comments. So we're gonna post the video in.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. What's up, bro?
Hey, it's the What's Up Bro podcast. We talk movies, sports, TV shows, pop culture, and it's funny, motherfuckers. With nary signs. I'm like, what? How can this... They have Photoshop. Photoshop exists when this artist rendition was done. How the fuck is this not cooler looking than a sketch that looks like it was done by a hillbilly off the side of the road? What the fuck are we talking? Why is this a thing?
So you're telling me there's a chance?
With Missy.
Just let me finish my thought before you fucking interrupt me. Wrong room to ask questions.
Welcome to the party, pal!
And Mike Markadal.
I'm just glad I like vanilla, boring sex like this. I'm glad that the sex I enjoy won't get me killed.
That's how winning is done.
Hey, I'm Dave Chappelle, and this is What's Up, Bro.
All right, and welcome to the What's Up Bro podcast, your favorite podcast where you come to watch people talk, debate, and argue over shit they don't know anything about. I am Nary Science. I'm Nary Science. With me today, I have a special guest today in the house from the Better Let Me Tell You podcast that we promote on every single episode at the end of every episode because they are part of the Geek Bro Network. It is my friend Ishmael, aka Ish. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, and yourself? I'm actually here trying to like repost the link and trying to do like I'm trying to pretend that I'm Gen Z right now is basically what's happening.
Yeah, this is what happens when you get a little older and you're like, how do I do these? You're doing way better than our friend David Ulloa.
Who's younger than me, by the way.
He's younger than all of us. He's by far the youngest one of the group. And every time we're gonna post something, I think he's gotten the hang of it now, but it's taking him well over a year. Where when we do this, there are times where he'll post it, but he'll only post it to not his page as the podcast page, only to the there's no reason. And then there was one time where he posted it as a comment to somebody else, but not publicly, and it's a whole weird thing.
Yeah, no. Recently, he posted something on his own thing about like, oh, I'm so glad that I'm playing Legos with my son. I wonder if Lego will sponsor us or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, they won't if you don't tag them.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that's key. Like
they don't even know that this exists. They don't even know this post exists. Like,
right. So yeah, I was like,
can you imagine if Legos are just searching? Like, I wonder if there's somebody who's not tagging us.
Are there any teachers in Miami that are playing with
their son, specifically their son? I need to know they're playing with their son. You just see these nerds like typing, like looking. We found one. He didn't tag us. We found one. He has.
You thought Meta was creepy with their data mining.
Oh my god, it'd be fantastic. Do you know anything about data mine, about the meta and the whole metaverse and all that? Because somebody tried to explain it to me, and I legitimately felt like an old man. I was like, in my day, Facebook was to look up the hoes you once liked. Like it's.
Oh, that's a fun route if they're gonna go for if they're gonna do mine. But no, and it's funny because I should know more than I probably do based on the fact that I do work in marketing. I'm actually gonna go ahead and take my glasses off because the glare off of my own freaking lenses is driving me crazy. So I apologize.
You don't have anti-reflective?
I do on the other ones.
Right. No,
and so these, I actually switched them up because I got tired of wearing the other ones. I was like, nah, I'm bored. So yeah, it's.
You know what's not boring? Headaches. Let's get the non-reflective ones because you know what? They're different.
Headaches at least let you know you're alive.
Oh.
Okay. The dead don't get them historically.
Well, says you, not with that attitude.
Well, that's just as far as we know. As far as we know, that's so the metaverse, not to be confused with the multiverse. I really don't know too much about it. I know that it's like basically Facebook. Facebook's ultimate goal, Meta's goal, whatever, is to build a community that you never leave. Right. That's their goal, right? So they want you on. on Facebook, on Instagram, on Messenger, on WhatsApp, on everything they own and can get their tentacles in. And I think the ultimate goal now with like the metaverse and all that is to do something like Ready Player One. Where I don't
That's
know
what
if you,
somebody else told me. Somebody told me like, "Oh, Ready Player One, it's gonna be real, bro." And no, the moment they said that, I was like, "I get the fuck out." Like I was like, "Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know that it's going to be real, but that's the closest thing I can compare to tell you. Like I think that's what they want in some weird way, right? It's like, let's just put everybody in this place where we control everything and just keep getting richer. But you're also talking to somebody who I think cryptocurrency is bullshit, and I don't understand why anybody would pay for an NFT where it's like, look, this thing I've got on my phone that no one else can look at, I paid $1 gajillion for it. I'm like, wow,
yeah."
great, yeah. So
I know it sounds like it. We've had this conversation on this podcast before about NFTs. Like people have tried to explain NFTs to me multiple times, and I said this before, but this is the true story. Every time somebody tries to explain it to me, they'll go through this long explanation, and then they go, "I don't know, bro. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird." They say, "I don't know," like
right,
as a disclaimer to say, "Hey, don't fucking blame me if you
because nobody knows.
right," because nobody knows.
That's the
It's the
key.
weirdest shit ever. But somebody did explain it to me in the
But they're all going to
metaverse.
be rich about. They're all going to be rich about it. They're all going to be rich
Yeah.
about cryptocurrency, but they can't explain to you how or why. And God knows you can't use it at Target. So
It-
sure.
And cryptocurrency, I'm sorry, is different than NFTs.
Yes,
And
NFT
I'm
is
just
artwork that only exists digitally, but I believe you have to pay for the NFT with cryptocurrency.
all right. It's like the blind leading the blind. I think it's hilarious. They're like,
We're
if
just
you
gonna
want
call this
this,
the truth and move on. We're gonna.
yeah. All right. So NFTs and crypto. So somebody explained the metaverse to me like Ready Player One, and they gave the example because the one who did it to me, the one who was talking to me about it was a comedy club manager, right?
Mhm.
Young kid. And he said, he's like, imagine somebody's a fan of yours, but they live in San Francisco, just to give an example. And he's like, and you do a show in the metaverse, like you put on your goggles and whatever the fuck, and you do your show, and it's an avatar, your avatar, doing your comedy. Somebody can go into the virtual comedy club, and now they're there. It's like they are present watching you do your show. So you could
Isn't
charge
that just a
people.
Zoom call?
Right. So here's the thing. So the Zoom call thing, the reason why it's different, this is the I asked that question. I was like, that seems like a virtual call. What do we do? And he says the difference is that when that person is in the comedy club, you could actually get their feedback. You could actually see them and get their like laughing and their whatever, as opposed to on a Zoom call, you can't see the like you know what I mean? It doesn't. It's not the. I've done comedy shows on Zoom calls, and it's fucking horrendous.
I would imagine.
Bro,
You're not
it's
getting
like
that live interaction. Of
oh,
course.
it's awful. There's no live interaction. Not only that, it's because there's so many people on the other end, they always mute themselves.
Yeah, you have to.
So it's understandable why they mute themselves. But if you mute yourself so that your child, I can't hear, so the comedian can't hear your child in the background screaming, I also can't hear you laughing.
Right. Right.
So
you can
it's
see
like
a bunch of faces going.
I see a bunch of faces, and I'm just like, and that's if they're set up correctly. Because if I'm doing it off my phone, like if I'm doing a Zoom call off my phone, I don't see a bunch of faces. I just see me, and I'm like, oh, this is, and I had to explain this to somebody because somebody was telling me, oh, how much is it to do a show? And I go, what kind of show? This is a year ago, and they said it's a Zoom call, and I said, how long do you want it? And they go, oh, an hour, like a regular headline set. I said, no. You don't understand it. It's not like I could 20 minutes, 25 tops is what you want.
Yeah.
And they told me, they were like, there's no headliner that does only 20 minutes for a headline set. And I said, my friend, this is not a comedy club. You're not going to be, you know what I mean? You're expecting the atmosphere of a comedy club, low lit, and all this. I'm like, that's not what this, you're asking people to be stuck on a Zoom call for an hour. There's nobody that wants to be done. I don't care if a fuck if I'm listening to.
No, I've been on a Zoom call all day for work. Like you,
Yeah,
I'm
not
gonna
doing
pay
that.
you to do it. But actually, let me ask you that question though. When headliners, because I know obviously when a headliner comes to a comedy club, they're the longer set.
Right.
Are they doing? And I know if you go to like Madison Square Garden and things like that, yes, they'll come out, they'll do an hour. But are they doing an hour set like in your average comedy club?
Industry standard is 45 minutes is a headliner set. If you're not doing 45 minutes, you're not doing a headliner set. The industry standard contractually obligated is 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And,
did that change during the pandemic or
no? I
with
mean,
the
again,
Zoom of it all. With the Zoom of it all, I mean,
if it's on Zoom, I hope to God, because I only did 3 Zoom shows and they were all awful.
Mhm.
And I luckily the most I did was like 25 minutes, 30 minutes. And that was a long time. 25 minutes was a long time on a Zoom call. Because again, you're doing the way I explain it to performers is like imagine doing 25 minutes of without any there's no time for, you don't I know it sounds dumb to the
You don't
average
know if your
person. It's
jokes
like
are landing.
all those first of all, I don't know if they're landing. I don't know if people are laughing or enjoying them. And at the same time, when you're in a comedy club and I can hear the laughter, I stop talking to let them laugh.
Right.
And I know it sounds minuscule, but all those little pauses of laughter equal up 5, 7, 8 minutes.
Yep.
And if you're just doing 25 minutes without taking a pause or a beat, because you don't know when the pauses and beats are, because you don't know if these people are laughing at this joke. I know when they should be. If I do a joke that I've been doing for 3 years, I know when the pause should be, but I don't know if these people are getting it. It's a very es un arroz con mango, bro. Let me tell you something. It was not
Definitively.
yeah, to get very pero let me tell you about it. It was un arroz con mango, como dicen la gente. But yeah, man. So you work in marketing. You also co-host a very popular podcast down here in South Florida. You guys get
Globally,
amazing guests.
we've got people who are listening to us in freaking like I think the other day I had like Russia and Antarctica is the only continent we haven't been listened on.
Oh, you don't get Russia? Okay.
No, we do get
I'm
Russia.
just-
We do. I'm just saying
Oh.
Antarctica is the only one that
Antarctica.
we don't have anybody. But
Yeah.
you know, penguins are famously slow to adapt.
They're not bilingual like us, bro.
They're snappy dressers, but they're not educated. So
You know
just
what?
goes to
They're a little
show.
too snappy. It's like, bro, we don't always need a fucking tux. It's the
Yeah,
weirdest thing. Like, we just want to chill. We just want to
Just
chill. Go to the
chill.
beach. And he's like, I go to the
A
beach. And
Henley's fine.
son. But you get great guests. You guys get amazing guests. I'm always like in awe of you guys because you guys get great guests. I'm like, fuck, how did they get these guests? I'm like, who do they know that knows these people? Like and then it's funny because we have a mutual friend, Stephanie. She's like, oh, they just asked. And I'm like, I fucking ask everybody. No, but like people leave me on red. People fucking flat out leave me on red. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And people are like, oh, who do you ask? And I'm like, I fucking ask I'm talking about like and again, this is not complaining. I'm just saying like the level of I've asked everybody from the fucking Rock to Pitbull to DJ Laz to fucking Lucy Lopez, like everybody, bro. Like I'm asking everybody, like, hey, does anybody want to do the podcast?
Sure.
And it's literally like I just asked you today. I was like, hey, you want to do the podcast? And you're like, I've never heard it. I'm like, nobody has. It's fine. It's like it's just talking shit with friends, and that's all it really is.
Yeah.
But I always seem to have a good time with whoever comes on, but it's so funny. It's the weirdest thing. I've asked everybody. The only person who said yes, and shout out to her, is Angela.
Angela Johnson.
No, Angela. No, that's another Angela. Is the porn star, the adult film star. So she came on and she was great and she was fantastic, but she had no idea who we were. She's like, I'm like, I watch a lot of porn.
In all fairness, I don't know who she is because I click on the other category on Pornhub. So you know that I don't. You know, there's
Interracial.
Yes. I'm famously all about interracial porn. It's actually what Beto, let me tell you, is really just all about. I mean, it's just really
Beto, let me tell
hour
you,
and a half every week of me talking about interracial porn.
You would think that he would run out of topics, but no, my friend.
No, and the celebrities seem to enjoy it. They do. They come on the show. We all talk about interracial porn. It's great.
That's fantastic. It's like, so when you were doing what we do in the shadows, what were you doing in the shadows? Interracial porn?
Interracial porn? Is that what they do in the shadows back in the 50s? Yes.
But yeah, so to our listener, because we do this, the videos up live on Facebook and YouTube right now, but we also release the audio later. And to the audio listener, just to let you know, if go to geekbro.net, they're on there. But let me tell you, it's fantastic. You guys, the way you guys do it is cool too. You guys do seasons where it's like we'll do a season.
We start tomorrow.
Right. How do you decide when? Is it just based on schedule, like when you guys are freed up, or do you guys have a plan? Like this season is going to be 20 episodes, or do you guys have a plan, or how does that work?
It kind of just happened when we started the show. I mean, we're about to start our fifth season. I still can't believe I'm saying that out loud. When we started, we initially were like, okay, let's do a bi-weekly show, and then that lasted. Because of the interracial thing, yeah. And it's we want to cover all the, and so that lasted for maybe about 10 minutes because we we very quickly decided, we're like, well, if we're going to be talking about current events, if we're doing it every other week, by the time we get there, it's not that current.
Correct.
And so it became weekly and what have you. And then really by the end of that first year, or by the time we got to December that first year, it was kind of like, all right, if we're doing this every week, and now we've added interviews to the mix, and and everything that entails, and also, as you got to have social media presence, and you got to do all that. So it got to the point where we're like, okay, you know what? Our holiday gift to ourselves is to do nothing. So we're like, let's just take a break, from end of December, give or take, to late January. Our start is usually tail end of January, but that is kind of based on like, okay, what's going on in our personal lives? How do we figure this out? So it really just came about as for our sanity at the end of the day. Because when you're doing a show literally every single week, every Friday we have a new episode, you need a break. And we can't bank episodes really, because again, we're talking about current events. So famously, some of our listeners may know this, we literally, the week of COVID, or the week that COVID kind of started, we did an interview.
You mean the quarantine started?
No, like when COVID kind of first started making the rounds.
Right.
We recorded.
When it went to Italy first, it started in Italy. COVID's very vacational. Like, oh, we're gonna start in Europe. Start in Asia, go to Europe.
Listen, COVID also likes a food hall, is what we know. But we did an interview, then we recorded the episode, and then we're like, oh, let's go eat. By the time we had gone to eat, Disney World was closed. Tom Hanks had COVID. The whole world had changed, and we're like, we need to just re-record this episode that we literally just recorded an hour and a half ago, because everything has changed.
We have a running joke on this podcast. We have a running joke that parenting news breaks on Thursday or Wednesday late at night, because we record on Wednesdays. We do, it's WuBro Wednesday, just for the
I love an alliteration. So
alliteration. And then every time we record, it just happens to be, it just feels like that every time we record something that we finish recording, and it's like the next day, the next morning, it's like, oh, did you hear Jason Momoa and this girl are breaking up? And you're like, but we just, and it's like, and that's a bad example. That's a bad example because that was one of the only times that we actually caught that live, like the news broke while we were recording, during the recording. Really? But that was that was again just as an example, because it always, other than that, it always happens. That's the only one that popped into my head, because it just happened a couple of weeks ago. But it's always something like crazy, like, oh, and it's always a pop, like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. Whoa, who knows what's gonna happen? And then like, oh, thank you guys for joining us. And then 5 hours later, they're like, Betty White died. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh no! I get it, man. Yeah, it makes sense. So you guys do seasons, right? And by your seasons, do you mean years? Is that basically every year is a different season?
Pretty much. Okay. Because again, we run January to December. Ish. So yeah, a year is a season. I mean, we're doing on average 45 episodes a year, and there are times where we do more. Because we've done bonus episodes where maybe we've got a chat with somebody that's just very long, and for me to sit and edit it down so it can fit within the context of a regular episode, you're gonna lose too much. So it's like, hey, here's a midweek bonus, a midweek episode. We're talking with fulano de tal, and and have at it.
You guys get amazing guests. You guys had, and again, I'm really bad with names. Well, you guys had the guy from What We Do in the Shadows. He plays Guillermo, which is that's where my limit of names is. I know his character name, and it's like, oh shit, the actor is he's an actual talented.
And we got really lucky with him, I have to say, because we got him right before season 2 started.
Right.
So he was still under the radar.
Right.
And so we were very lucky to get him when we did. He was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I always watch in awe. I'm like, man, how do these guys get so I hear the episodes and I'm like, I mean, whenever Stephanie's on, I skip those. But the rest of them, I'm like, oh man, I'm just joking. But it's fantastic. Again, I'm kudos to you guys, because you guys, I'm like, do they know people in the business? Is there a thing? Is that
we don't. I'd be lying. I'd be like, yeah, I work in marketing, but I don't work in that side of marketing. Right. So it's not like I'm working with the sponsorships and celebrities and personalities. A lot of it really is. I mean, Stephanie's right. It is just asking, and I am persistent to the point where there may be restraining orders against me that I'm not aware of.
I sent the link that I sent you for this episode. I've been sending to Lucy Lopez, like, just like, hey, no pressure, and I just sent it to, like, I'll just DM her and just like, hey, no pressure, and I just, again, she leaves me on red. I love her. I think she's great, and I would love to have, and I'm a big fan of hers. Of everything she's done, but it's so funny because to me, she's like, "Oh my god, you're like," she'll comment on my videos. This is so funny. I'm like, "Cool, so you want to do my podcast?" Like, I just, like, I'm that out with it. I'm like, I don't fuck.
And I will go ahead and do a plug for her since she's not been on the show. She started a podcast now called Mamacita Rica. So if you
she had other Miami stand-up comedians on there.
Yeah. Well, I have her phone number, so I can tell her, like, oye, ¿qué te pasa conmigo?
I replied to that when she shared the commercial, the ad for that episode that she had. She go, I had the pleasure of having two, local professional stand-up comedians, and I was like, oh, word, cool. I literally just sent her a gift
like that, huh?
Word, that's cool, and she started laughing. She like LOL'd me, and I'm like, okay. That's cool. And like, whatever. Like, what fucking, know.
But I mean, you want to talk? I mean, now you mentioned Lucy Lopez. Like, you want to talk Miami hustle? Like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a clip of me over a year ago. I was on this very podcast, and we were just talking about Miami and like the people in Miami, and like, there's good and bad of everybody. And I talked about like the Miami hustle, like the fact that I love anybody who has that's why I'm a big fan of The Rock. Yeah, his product is good, but the hustle in it is fantastic to me. The fact that he has the most followers on Instagram of any male on Instagram, and yet he still comes on and goes, look, I got a new energy drink, and I got this, and I got that. Thank you very much, and blah, blah. Like, the hustle is always so impressive to me. And then I literally, after talking about The Rock and Pitbull, I talked about Lucy Lopez. I talked about, and this is when she was still on Part 96. Lucy Lopez and DJ Zog. And I go, DJ Zog, he went to Braddock. I went to Braddock. We have the thing. I'm like, but I love the fact that these people are like, not only are they superstars in Miami, but they started here in Miami and they give back to the community. So I'm here, blah, 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 blah. And then like a few months later, she, the news breaks that she leaves. And I posted that clip. I'm like, I've always been a fan. Like, I love her hustle. And she's like, oh, I would love to be on the show. And I'm like, cool. Because we're in
I know she. Yeah,
we're 2022 now. We're gonna go
after Part 96, I know she kind of took a moment to step back for a little while and kind of recalibrate.
I love, like, again, you were talking about the hustle. Just that's the word.
Listen, sir, you talking about hustle, like, we need to talk about you and the hustle, because you're a stand-up comedian. You're a father. That in and of itself is the biggest gig, unpaid.
I'm really bad about pulling out.
And I see that. Yes, I
not trying to brag, but I don't really pull out.
Well, is it a brag? Is it?
My favorite Father's Day gift was a mug that says your pull-out game is weak. And every year I will have the other kid host, like, I take it. That's my Father's Day post. It's like,
that's your Father's Day post?
It's them drinking out of that mug. It's like, and they have no idea what that means. They have no idea what it says.
It's good though that you post it so then they can show the therapist later.
Yeah. They're like, this is exactly like this is. I'll send you a link to where my problems started.
It's even dated on Instagram. But then also, but then you host or co-host, I don't even know how many freaking podcasts, and you run, the Geek Bro Network. Like, dude, you've got hustle going. Like, how do you do it all? Because and you do the stand-up
poorly,
not just
I do it poorly.
But
no, I appreciate it. I'm really bad.
You're also doing, you're also on board a cruise ship. A big ass chunk of the year. So.
A couple of things. Thank you for that, but I'm really bad at taking any kind of positive feedback.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna tell you what I tell every single woman who I've ever complimented. You know how, like, the average girl, you're like, you look really pretty today, and they're like, really? Because my hair is oily, my dress is blah blah blah. I'm like, just say thank you. Just say thank you. Just say thank you and move on. Like, you don't need to overanalyze it.
Take it and move on. Take it and move on. I'm gonna tell you what Louis C.K. said. Just take it. No. That's
why he was canceled.
That's why he was canceled. What are you gonna cancel me off? Unemployment? No, but I first of all did not. Wait, we got a comment. Oh, there you go. George says my couch pulls out, but I don't. That's hilarious.
Typical Miami up in Pump.
That's the best. But I love the reason I started podcasting. So I started this podcast 10 years ago, right? We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary, the first episode that we put off with WuBro. And the reason why is because I was working with a comedian called Robert Kelly, and he had a podcast, and I knew about his podcast, and he told me, back in my day, this you did that. He goes, when I first started doing stand-up, it was all you had to do was kill. That's all you had to do on stand-up is just be funny on stage and kill on stage every single time. He goes, it's no longer that. This is 10 years ago. He said it's no longer that. Now you have to be a film editor. You have to be able to post videos online. You have to create. He was using the phrase content creator before it was a phrase.
Years
He
ago,
was saying things like you have to create all new media. Like he was basically saying content creator. He was saying you have to make funny. And then at that time it was what was that app that was 7 seconds? Vine. He goes, you got to make funny vines, and you got to make blah, 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 and you got to like all these things. And he said, podcasting is one of those things where it's another creative outlet. And that's the phrasing that got me started in podcasting. And then I loved it. I'm like, oh, I do have a great comment that John Panette, rest in peace, comedian John Panette once told me. He goes, you should be a radio DJ because you have an opinion for everything. And I know a lot of people take that as an insult, but he didn't. The way he meant it, he was like, no, you really you have an opinion on everything. You would make for a good radio DJ. And then that was before podcasting was a thing. So to answer your question of how it's all love. It's like I love doing all of this. And I know when people start podcasting, they're very focused on the numbers and like how many people are watching and how many people are listening. And at first I was like that 10 years ago. And then I got to a point where I was like, if I'm doing that, I'm not having fun. And you know what? My whole point is just to have fun and put out a good product. And that's all I've ever cared about. Like when I go on stage, I put out a good product. I make sure people have fun. Now I got to start focusing more on the marketing scheme of it. Not that I don't do marketing, because I do the videos and post them on Instagram and all that jazz. But now I got to focus more as far as, actually getting people on there. George says, you know what they say about opinions? Something buttholes because everyone has one. What? No, that's not what they said. I like the fact that George comes up with these sayings. Like he's like, you know what they say? Fill in the blanks yourself. I don't have.
Well, it is true. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and some of them smell. So that's that. Yes.
But yeah, man. So I was reading in the news today. So I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you're a big superhero fan of comic books.
Would confirm that, yeah.
Right. But this has nothing to do with that. This has to do with fandom of another kind of sports, of a sports fandom. Now, I'm not sure if you follow sports, football of any kind, right?
But I will.
So great. No. It's great that you don't, because I wanted to show you this. I wanted to be the first one. I don't know. You know what? I don't even know if I'm the first one to show you this.
Check it out. Let's check it out.
It is an article. Now, the Dallas Cowboys played the 49ers, my favorite team, the 49ers, a couple of weeks ago.
I noticed.
And they lost, right?
Okay.
And in the crowd, they're panning. The camera's panning, and they show all these people crying. Because it was in Dallas, it was all these Cowboy fans crying and whatever and all that stuff there. One of them is this guy with his seemingly girlfriend, wife, whatever it is, right? And then a couple days after,
they look like rejects for Jersey Shore. Okay,
you could just say Jersey Shore, and then
they wouldn't have even made the casting.
Oh, they would have made the cast. Yeah, right. I don't know. I think that guy could have. Somebody. So, his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend posts this and says, "Hey, everyone. Yes, this is my trash ass ex, who is a serial cheater. And that is his side chick. We are no longer together, and we haven't been for a while. But he continues. He continues to be all day, every day, just like he had lied about this trip. When he swore it was a guy's trip. He also told me he had cut this girl off, but clearly that was another lie. And then she says, I normally wouldn't post my business, but literally my phone is blowing up. And while I appreciate you guys sending me this, I don't need to see it anymore. And it's because everybody was like, yo, is that your man at the game with another girl? And so she posted that on her Instagram, on her stories. That screenshot has since been shared on multiple outlets, including sports outlets. Jeez. So they're getting a lot. Like he took 2 L's that week. He took 2 L's because he was.
Yeah, but he got some V.
Yeah, but look at her.
For a second there, I was like, ¿Quieres mejorar Megan Fox?
Right? She's all está triste. Se mira
Pobrecita.
triste, Megan
Well,
Fox.
when you hang out with Machine Gun Kelly and Pete
Oh
Davidson.
my god.
Oh,
That's how bad Machine Gun Kelly lost that rap battle to Eminem. He went to a different genre.
It's like, I'm just gonna over here.
Wasn't Machine Gun Kelly a rapper at one point? Like, was it?
I'm not sure what he was because his look says rocker, but then he was kind of a rapper. But
He
now
was a
he's
rapper for a while, and then now he
Sure.
just does rock music, and I'm like, okay, yeah, cool,
he's
man.
called MGK. I thought he was a stadium for 2 minutes. I don't sure.
Did you see the proposal? Did you see the engagement ring?
When Jack Skellington proposed to Sally, yes, I did.
It's so true. It's so true. That was the vibes. That was totally the vibes. I will say this about the Megan Kelly proposal.
Megan Fox, Megan Kelly.
Megan Kelly. I'm sorry, Megan
Kelly.
Fox. That would be better. That would be more impressive.
That would be hilarious if Megan Kelly started dating Machine Gun Kelly, and then she didn't even have to change her name.
Change your name, right? She's still Mrs. Kelly. No,
she's
just
Megan
Mrs.
Gun Kelly. Like just
Megan Gun Kelly. That's hilarious. Yeah. So Megan Fox Kelly? That's a weird fucking
that's a
thing.
weird one. I'm not
Weird thing.
no. We can't have that one. Sorry.
Yeah. So anyway, so that post though, somebody right after that post shared something that says everything I know about Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly has been against my will. And that is very much the way I feel.
Now you know how we all feel about the Kardashians. That's
Yes, thank you.
that's it.
I literally posted that. I literally shared that with the group. I was like, add the Kardashians to this list. Add
I've never seen one episode, and yet I know more than any human being should, right? About
I saw like during the first season 1,000 years ago, I saw like maybe like 2 episodes. And again, at that time, I was just like this horn dog of a guy. I'm like, I'm just watching Hot Chicks. I was like, I'm just gonna watch Hot Chicks. And then they hook you with the stupid ass storylines that are obviously clearly fake, but you're like, oh, I'm like, I still don't care. Like it doesn't, but they're just hot. Well, and then everything same thing with Megan Fox. It's like all this shit with the Kardashians, and she's hanging out with the Kardashians now. And I'm like, Megan Fox is hanging out with the Kardashians. What the fuck? It's against my will. All of it. All the information I know about it is against my will. But what I will say is that I'm glad that post about her being engaged felt a lot more authentic than the last time that J-Lo got engaged. That professional photo shoot that happened quote unquote spontaneously, and I'm like, get the fuck out. And that was not spontaneous.
Look, I love me some J-Lo. I do. I genuinely love J-Lo. You want to talk about hustle, right?
I just saw that movie the other day, as a matter of fact.
Hustlers?
Yes. For the first time, I saw it the other day. It's fucking good.
Really good.
It's good.
Really
Somebody said, I was reading up on the review because I wanted to see, like I always do this when a movie's based on a true story. I always go like, what's real and what's not. Not that I'm judging it. I just want to know what they are.
Well, the license was
right. And then somebody commented and said that apparently when it came out, people were the Wikipedia. It says that I got labeled as Goodfellas and G-strings, and I'm like, it fucking is Goodfellas and G-strings. That's a really good
accurate description. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, you were saying you love J-Lo.
I don't even know where I was going with this, but but that woman doesn't do spontaneous. She just doesn't do spontaneous. It's not in her nature, and whatever part of it ties back to the hustle, right? Where it's just like, listen, I've worked too hard to curate this image, and I'm over here being Thanos collecting rings, but it's all curated.
So funny. If I had them, that would be the perfect moment when you were talking about that to put one of her songs, but I can't because of licensing. But I really want to be like dinero, dinero, dinero. Like that's all she. That's all. Like there's no spontaneous like dinero, dinero, dinero.
Like
it's fantastic. I love her. I love J-Lo. But yeah, that photo of her being proposed to by A-Rod, I was like, oh, this is a fucking fake. It's a fake shit with the sun setting in the back.
I don't believe any celebrity spontaneous photos are spontaneous unless they look like shit.
Which is why I think that Megan Fox one looks better, because I'm like, oh, this doesn't look good. They don't look good.
Yeah, she doesn't look like she would have posted. Like that looks like a picture her publicist would have been like, don't post it. Let's take a prettier one.
Let's touch it up. We could do it afterwards. And they're like, no. Like, no. We can see your club thumb. Have you seen her thumbs?
Oh yes.
We see our club thumb. The publicists are like, we could see your club thumb. So if you could just do me a favor and don't post those because
But nope.
it's
So that was
no.
refreshing.
Yeah. It was nice. It was like, oh look, they're like actual Kmart trashy.
Right.
Nice. It's beautiful. Don't you think? Don't they look like Walmart shoppers? They look like they would be seen together at Walmart.
But like not in a major city.
Yes. They're like the hottest couple at Walmart, but like in Bradenton.
Yeah, like one of those like smaller
Ocala.
places, right? Yeah, this is not like a Chicago Walmart,
No.
or
No.
no. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're the hottest couple in a shitty town
Right,
where
right,
you're like the couple, like the only couple.
right. Because everybody else is missing teeth.
How do you go from Brian Austin Green to Machine Gun Kelly?
Badly? I don't.
Yeah, that's not a good trip at all. I feel like
It's a
there's
downgrade.
for real, right? Like that's a downgrade in everything from talents to look to like okay.
Career longevity.
Uh,
If we're
you know,
gonna
Brian Austin Green was hot for a quick minute as far as career wise.
no. But I mean, that's a downgrade career longevity wise if you even think about it, because Brian Austin Green, whatever happens now, I mean, he does get cast on things, like he was recently on the Connors, but he will always have 90210 cred.
Always.
You know what I mean? And that's iconic. Whereas Machine Gun Kelly, can you name a Machine Gun Kelly song? Because I can't.
A song, I know I can't name him by name. I know that he did the Eminem diss track, and then Eminem came back and smashed him so hard he changed genres.
Right.
And then but he did this song. I will say this. I know it goes against the joke, but he did this song called Home for the Will Smith movie on Netflix titled Home, and that was good. And I only say that because it was in my phone to go to the gym to. And I didn't realize it was him until I looked down. I go, oh fuck! Now I like my, like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things when you realize, I didn't wanna, I wasn't trying
I liked
to
it
be.
before I knew who it was, type of thing.
Yeah, like I didn't know Selena Gomez. I wasn't gonna be a Selena Gomez fan. Now it happened. Now I'm a fucking Selena Gomez fan. Are you happy? Are you fucking happy now? Like that's who's that other chick that breaks up with
Damn you,
everybody?
Steve Martin.
That who was that other chick that puts every ex-boyfriend on a song? Taylor Swift. That's what happened. There was one Taylor Swift song that I really enjoyed, but I found out it was Taylor Swift after I really enjoyed it. I'm like, God damn it, now I'm a Taylor Swift fan, motherfucker. Like it's just so upsetting. So upsetting.
They're putting like bear traps out there, just grabbing you. Apparently, these little teen,
What was I gonna tell you? There was a story. I don't know if you saw the story that came out recently that let me see if I can open it here.
I love it. You're springing this. You're like getting me prepped for the premiere tomorrow, because Darian does the same thing. My co-host who'll be like, "So did you hear about Bum?" And it's like,
yeah,
I had never heard that story in my life until right now.
What is this? So there is a story that came out over the weekend. There was a man who he was in Connecticut, and he
with the special effects and things moving around
with a smoothie. He threw a fucking smoothie.
Okay, I think
now you watch the video. I'm not gonna play the video because it's
it's bad.
It's pretty. So these kids, these girls that are working behind the counter are honestly none of them are 18. They're like all super young. Okay. And he walked in and he was like, "Who made the shake? Who made?" And they're like, "We don't know who made the shake. We get a lot of orders. We don't know who made that specific one." And then he throws it at one of them, and it hits her on the shoulder. And then he tries to go around, like they're like, "Call the cops, call the cops." He tries to go around and tries to like break down the door to their employee area, to their back, behind the counter shit. Okay. So at one point he says to them, "Go back to your fucking country," or some crazy.
Where did this happen?
In Connecticut. And the girl goes, "Go back to your." He tells the girl, "Go back to your fucking country," or some shit like that. Yeah. And that happened literally at like 2 p.m. that day. I'm sorry. Wow. 2 p.m. that day. And the dude was fired from Merrill Lynch that same day. Like that's how quickly they were like, "No, we're not taking this shit."
He works for Merrill, or worked for Merrill.
We used to. So since 1997, he was a financial advisor. Since 90, he was I forgot what kind of advisor.
So this is someone who theoretically has had to
brain cells.
Deal with, brain cells and all that, fine. But I mean, has theoretically had to deal with some type of high pressure scenario. As a financial
Yes.
advisor since 1990, whatever, you have been an advisor through recessions, through downturns in the market, and the smoothie is what's going to set you off.
Yeah.
I mean, how
So
much is
here's
a smoothie?
okay. So here's what happened. So he there he is. He's throwing shit. Now he's going. They're calling. So here's the caveat, and it still doesn't excuse the racism, and I'm not excusing him at all whatsoever.
Right.
But what I will say is that allegedly the man's son has a peanut allergy. I'm
Okay.
sorry,
Okay.
and
Like all children now.
right, and the shake had peanuts in it, or peanut butter, or whatever the fuck it had.
Okay.
And so he went into shock, and he had to be sent to the hospital.
Okay.
So this man comes back. Now, the only reason I say allegedly is because the police are only confirming that there was a call to 911 at 1 p.m.
Mhm.
to hospitalize an 18-year-old boy for peanut allergy. Not confirmed it's him or whatever the fuck. His lawyer says that he regrets what he did, that he regrets whatever, blah blah. His actions, that he was just in the heat of the moment, and his son was, in danger, and so he just blah blah. And I'm all for the anger. I think that excuses the anger. If I'm not excusing him. It's just the racism.
Right.
That is not it's not okay. It's not okay to say the N-word in your car just because you're having a bad day of traffic. If somebody cuts you off and you immediately go to the N-word, it's not okay. It doesn't he's not racist. He was just having a bad traffic day. Yeah, it was like it doesn't
Right.
work that way.
What is he though?
No.
I have okay, based on what you're saying, so my first question, I guess, would be, because I want to understand a little bit more of the timeline, which we probably don't have the answers to. So, was his child, when this happened with his child, allegedly with the peanut allergy, and he's going into shock and probably had to do the EpiPen, called the was the kid, like, did he leave, went with the kid to the hospital, and then came back?
All right. So that's what I don't know if he came.
Or is he bitching at these poor kids while his child is dying in the corner?
That would be, to me, would be hilarious. So he says, look, so the news story says, according to police, the dude purchased a smoothie from this store around 1 p.m. Saturday. Roughly 30 minutes later, police say he called 911 from his home for a child having an allergic reaction. The child was taken to the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, the child the child was taken to the hospital, and it says here a few minutes later, he returned to the Robux location, which is the name of the shop, and he yelled at employees and demanded to know who had caused his child to have an allergic reaction. So the timeline,
so he bought it, he went home. Whatever happened with the kid. Then I guess once the kid was stabilized or in the hospital, whatever, he went back.
But the way the story's framing it, the way the news story is framing it, is that the kid was taken to the hospital, and he then went to the fucking shop to find out.
Right. So once the kid was in care, like, he then went back to the smoothie shop. Again, it's one of those things where I'm not a parent, so maybe I don't know anything.
I have yet to turn racist. I have yet to turn racist over a fit of rage.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, well, before we even get to the racist tirade, I would be very upset and I would want to know what's going on, but I don't think that I would drive back. At that point, I would literally just be like, you know what? This is probably what happened. Maybe the next day, or maybe I would call and I would be like, listen, this is what happened. I want you, just so you know, I want you guys even more. I don't know. Like, I feel like there's maybe, again, I'm not in that position. I would take a different track than go there and blame 14-year-old kids.
All right. So George is saying, apparently that guy ordered a peanut smoothie with, quote, no peanut butter. That's what the girl on TikTok was saying. That it didn't say no peanut. It just said no peanut butter. But he ordered a peanut smoothie.
Okay, so
no
you're too stupid to have children
for his kid. That's definitely allergic to peanuts. And then George says, "What a doofus," which is hilarious because I love that phrase, doofus.
But yeah, again, at no point does that excuse you becoming like this, racist. Like, because one thing has nothing to do with the other. Like, at the end
that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like what happened with Roseanne when she went on a racist tirade on Twitter, and she called I forget Condoleezza Rice. Who she called?
No. It was some government official. I can't remember who it
some
was right
government
now.
official, some black government official, and she said that she compared her to Planet of the Apes,
Yeah.
right? And then after she was getting all this fucking heat from everybody when she was in the process of getting canceled, she blamed it on the sleep medicine,
Yes. Yeah.
Allegra, whatever it was,
Whichever one. Yeah.
whatever. And then I my favorite was that Allegra tweeted is like, our medicine does not cause racism. Like they're just like it doesn't like they literally tweeted that like the
You'll do some
official
sleep
Allegra
shopping.
account was like we don't it our medicine does not cause you to be to be racist. It doesn't happen. And so this is what I'm saying is like you're a parent. I get it, man. You're frustrated. You're angry, right? I get the whole throwing thing. I get the fact that you're angry, right?
Right.
But the racist part is what throws me off. Is like, why would that? Now you're adding another layer of it. And here's the thing: as a rich white guy, because that's what he is. He's a rich white guy.
George Merrill Lynch, he's a financial advisor, so he's not struggling. Let's
Yeah, he's a rich white in
Fair
Connecticut. He lives in Connecticut. The
Connecticut,
fucking
yeah.
price of living in Connecticut is really fucking high, people.
That's true.
So if he's
They actually make you take a WASP test before you
right, if he is a rich white guy, why wouldn't your immediate form of retaliation be to sue?
That's what I'm saying. Like it would be one of those things where it's like, I'm calling to tell you this happened. I have the receipt of what I ordered, or blah blah blah. Like just go that route of
Right.
of blaming someone financially. I mean, obviously, if that had happened, now we'd be in a situation where I'd be calling him litigious and I'd be saying we're a lawsuit happy country. But
I mean, but that's a good reason for a lawsuit. You almost killed my kid. That's a good reason for a lawsuit, right? Like you're not. It's not like frivolously. I'm really bad with words.
No,
by the
but
way.
you said it frivolous. It's
All
not,
right,
yeah, it's
I
not a
just
frivolous
got there's
lawsuit,
some
yeah.
words that some words that my speakiness comes out real bad, and I gotta like slow it down. I'm like frivolous.
Sound it out.
Sound it out. You can't say share. Oh, it's I left it on the share. George says that it's Ambien. Ambien is a hell of a drug, and George has used it, but he says it never made him racist. I agree. I've never used Ambien.
But I think
the
that might be
commercial would be
Zoloft.
different. I
That
assume
makes
the
you
commercial would
racist.
be different if it turned you racist. Maybe that butterfly would be, I don't know, a fucking a burning cross. I don't know what the
Confederate
fuck.
flag. The wings are just two Confederate flags as it flaps.
Just a MAGA hat. Yeah, it's a weird story. It's a weird timeline, but there were people sharing that story on Saturday and on Sunday. I think I saw it on Sunday morning, and they were sharing that story like this guy, blah blah. We gotta find out where this guy works. And by that time I saw the video on Sunday morning, Merrill Lynch already had put out a statement. He no longer works for Merrill Lynch.
Let me ask you a question, because I mean, obviously, you work in a situation where I guarantee you've been heckled, especially working on a cruise ship where people are drinking and being insane. A, what do you do in that situation? Obviously, I feel like you're a little more trained for it, right? But then B, I know this is an extreme case, like it's not your average, like you suck.
Right.
Do you think he should have been fired?
So two things. One, as far as two separate questions here. One, as far as being heckled is concerned, my response is always to go super racist. I always go as racist as humanly possible.
Right. And as somebody who watches interracial porn, I can back that up.
So yeah, it's a weird thing. So I have a couple of different techniques that I deal with hecklers. Usually I don't get heckled very often.
Okay.
My mentality has been for the last 18 years has been they can't laugh and talk at the same time. So if they're laughing, they can't heckle you if they're continuously laughing. So just try to like I try to do like the Machine Gun Kelly type of approach where I'm just like, just trash and garbage all the way through the whole time. And then the other thing I would say is my other mentality is like always like, I have fun with them. You always got to gauge. Every situation is different. If they're just belligerent and drunk and not making sense and for the sake of yelling, they want to yell, then that's a different story than I can see sometimes they're trying to add to the story. And I'll tell them, I got it from here. Thanks. I got it. But as far as should he have been fired, here's why I say yes, right? Because it's when you're Merrill Lynch, you're such a huge corporation. and the last thing you need is bad PR for racism specifically. Now, if it would have just been the aggravated charges, the charges of him throwing a fucking smoothie cup onto this girl, and the fact that he tried to bust into I think that's another one too. That's the other. There's two cherries on top of this smoothie. One of them is the fact that he went racist, and then the other cherry is the fact that he physically tried to like bust through the door
and assault to underage kids,
underage children, and it's like, oh, that's really bad. If it would have just been, look, I threw the fucking cup. I'm sorry, I was frustrated, and I threw the fucking cup of peanut smoothie with no peanut butter. Like that would have been, I think you could survive that if you're Merrill Lynch by not firing him. But once you throw in the racist comment, and again, it's not a racist rant, it's a racist comment. He just said one racist comment.
Right.
Once you throw in the racist comment and you throw in the physical, like this is a fucking grown man.
He was going to hurt those girls.
Yeah.
I mean,
at the
there was
very
no
least, he was gonna
hit them,
shake them at the very
yeah. There was going to be some type of physical altercation.
Yeah, you don't break through a door and just be like finger wagging. You don't. You can do that from across the fucking counter. You can wag your.
I want your manager's phone number, but I'm gonna go across.
Saying that I want the manager phone number, and they were like, call corporate, and they're like, oh, corporate doesn't answer. And they're like, because it's Saturday. They were like, what the fuck do you want? Like you have like they were giving him the correct answers. He just not the answers he wanted to hear. He did not want to hear that.
I would have just given them the number to my manager. I would have been like, you know what? I don't have his number right now, but you know what? He's here tomorrow at 4. Like, here's
her Instagram. She goes by this on Instagram. Just fucking send her a direct message.
Like I'll just be like, look, I don't know. She went out to have a smoke break. He went, like he'll be here tomorrow or Mondays at 9. Whatever. Like I literally would have just deflected it at that point because.
But they tried. If you listen to the video, they tried. Vanessa says, what was his end goal? And I agree. He was just frustrated that whole thing happened, and it went the wrong route. George says you should follow, quote, that Dinesh guy on social media.
I only know that it's Dinesh because it's the last name of a singer that I like from London. So
of course, yeah, that's why I knew it too. You said you should cover, quote, that Dinesh guy on social media. He covers stories of people doing racist or inappropriate things, like the smoothie guy. I don't know how I even came across this story because that's not my timeline. My timeline is full. This is a good question, right? This is way tangent, way off fucking base here. Ish, are you on Instagram?
Of course I am.
Okay, so if you're on Instagram, what is on your Explore page? When you click on the Explore page, what shows up?
The Explore is the search, right? Essentially,
yeah, it's the search. The little magnifying glass in the left hand at the bottom.
It is the most insane mix of gym.
Yeah,
people who go to the gym.
Yeah,
like hot burly guys.
Right.
Memes
you have me on there twice already.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I started your fan page. God,
I can't pay somebody enough for that.
Jack Harry, and like random, just like RuPaul's Drag Race things. So it's pretty, or like, and then like occasional like comic books and cartoons and things like that.
So here's the reason I asked, because it's so weird what's in somebody, because I don't know. I said I don't know how I came up on this post, on this story, because I don't follow anybody like that. I don't follow like that Dinesh guy. I don't follow this kind of shit.
Right.
But I learned recently. I didn't.
Well, you do follow Sons of the Confederate South, and that might be why.
Do I follow them?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I started them.
No,
but I don't know if I still follow.
Sorry, no, they were posting pictures of you saying you're an unfunny spick. Sorry, that's
well,
yeah. Sorry.
It would be weird if they were fans of mine. Wouldn't that be fucking weird? They were like, he's hilarious, and I'm like, oh shit, do I gotta like you now? Like, I don't know if I gotta like you.
Nicaraguan, he's funny.
For Nicaraguan. Whew. Okay, back to hating them. Did you see that video? There was another video of two guys showing up to a house, and they rang the doorbell, and the video is from the Ring doorbell camera. And it says, we are white nationalists, and we just want to take a moment to talk to you guys, see, blah, blah, whatever. Like, literally doing door-to-door. Hey, just want to talk to you guys, blah, blah, blah. And then the guy, the owner of the house, was like, I'm sorry, did you say white nationalists? Like, he was so thrown off. He was so thrown back by the fact that the white nationalists are now doing the same thing that Mormons are doing. Is like, do you have time to talk about Jesus Christ? And you're like, it's such a weird thing.
I was gonna say it would be the best part about that would be if they were like, just kidding, we're actually Jehovah's Witnesses, and people are just kind of like, oh, phew, come on in, like,
yeah, no, let's talk about this.
halftime.
But that was the vibe. They were just very nice. They weren't in suits, but they were dressed very nice. It wasn't like skinheads with tattoos and
Well,
fucking
no,
with their MAGA hats. They were dressed very nice, and they're like, hey, we're from the
today's racist is not American History X.
Yeah.
I mean, the white nationalists nowadays, everybody knows about branding, right? And it sounds funny to say it out loud, but it's
so
true.
fucking true, though.
But it's true. Today's, like the fact that they're even called white nationalists, right? They're not called, skinheads anymore. They're not called, Nazis. They're not called anything. It's, because a nationalist is someone who loves their country.
Right.
How can you fault that? It's like I say with hey, what's the with QAnon, right? Like.
Right.
The beauty of QAnon is that at the end of the day, they have decided to champion, no matter how batshit crazy everybody is, a cause that, how do you say that it's not a good cause, right? Because ultimately they're about ending child trafficking.
Right.
So, like,
I don't think that's their ultimate goal.
But no. But that's what they tout, right? Like their whole thing is like, we're trying to expose, child traffickers and blah blah blah. So if you say anything anti that, right? It's like, so are you child sex trafficking, right? They pick like the perfect thing that if you question it, they can flip it on you.
Well, it's kind of like when somebody calls you argumentative. You're so argumentative. You're like, you can't say anything to that. Because if you even if you're not argumentative and you go, no, I'm not. There you go. See,
you're arguing.
Fucking doing it again. Doing it again. I was like, son of a bitch, he got me. What the fuck did he? And you agreed. What if you agree with her? Like, all right, I respectfully disagree. It's like, oh well, now you're just respectfully arguing. Is what you're doing.
You're just arguing with a tie.
But yeah, the white nationalists rang the ring doorbell and they were like, "Oh, do you have time to talk? Blah blah. We just want to talk to you about our country and that stuff there." And the guy, the husband, was like, "I'm sorry, did you say white nationalist?" Like he was so fucking thrown aback. And then the wife was like, "No, thank you, goodbye." And they were very polite. They were like, "Thank you very much for your time," and they fucking left. And I was like, "What?"
I wonder. I mean, again, if this is really happening. I wonder how they pick the houses, right?
Because no, it's not. There was a video. It's not if. It's really there was a video of it. There's a video.
No. But I'm saying it could have been just tu como mierdas, like with nothing else to do.
Like fucking prank. This is a weird fucking prank.
Listen, this day and age, you got to be as provocative as you can, I guess, to get attention. But I wonder,
what's their end game to get on Conan? I want to get in the Tonight Show because I want to be like, I did this prank. Look at this prank, guys, and it's like. No, that's a bad.
No,
prank.
that's not funny. The only way it's funny is if somebody says, "Tell me more," and then you expose them for being racist. But I just wonder how they pick the houses they go to. Right? Like, what do you do if you open up the door opens up and it's like, there's a black man with my Asian wife, and you know what I mean? It's like, sorry, wrong house. Like, what do you do?
So you're actually the ones we're trying to kick out. So
right. They make a note. They're like house number 3.
That's the creepiest part, I think, is that they have to have been under surveillance, right? Like, we know that there's white people in that house. So there has to be some kind of like weird surveillance.
Or pulled a mailing list or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we followed them from Sam's Club. Like, they're white.
They followed Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox from that Walmart. All the way to their house.
Yeah, because if there would have been black or Hispanic, they go to Costco. Sam's Club, white people shit right there.
Yeah. Sam's Club for sure.
It's a weird. It's definitely a weird vibe.
That's insane. And the fact that people feel so emboldened lately to just do that, right? Like I couldn't go door to door selling Girl Scout cookies, and people actually want that.
I could not. There's nothing I feel passionate about enough to go door to door. When I was a kid, I would do door to door a lot. Like, I gotta sell this, because that was the only way. Because we didn't have fucking internet. We didn't have that was the only way.
Yeah. So we're not gonna sell.
Yeah, we were as a kid. You go blah blah. Like, I have this catalog. Do you want to buy gift wrapping paper? And I did all that shit trying to win prizes, right? Mm-hmm. But we didn't have an option. Yeah. But now as an adult, as a grown up, I don't give a fuck. There's nothing I care about enough to go door to door. I'm like, do you have a phone? I'll text you my information.
Yeah,
I'll create a web page. Go to geekbro.net. Go to geekbro.net / door to door, and this is what you're gonna you're gonna fucking find.
That sounds
Uh,
like an OnlyFans page. Just so
oh my god, OnlyFans, man. Let me tell you something. They say quote unquote that OnlyFans is not just for sex, and I'm like,
it's
what?
true. It's not, but
I have yet to see one. Does the algorithm know me so well that it's like we're not even gonna show you the ones about fucking about
they're
gift
like,
wrapping.
you're not into crocheting. We were
Yeah,
not
we're
gonna.
not into
We're not gonna.
like, is there even like I would like to see one that's not about sex. Just one. I just want to see one. Now
I
I've
have to
seen some that are like
assume.
I just talk or show you my feet, but that's
Mhm.
still sexual. That's
Well,
still
it's
you're
fetish. It's a
banking on
fetish. Yeah.
fetish, right? You're
Yeah.
banking on fetish, right?
Mhm.
Nobody's like looking at these feet going like, ah, great feet.
Yeah,
Not
but I
touching
have
my
to.
dick.
But I'm pretty sure. I think feet are disgusting. So clearly, it's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have celebrities on there who, I mean, for the most part, celebrities are not posting porn, shall we say. I mean, they may
Right.
post something a little racy and a little what have you, but
Yeah.
so I guess those are probably not porn.
What's her name? Something Pippen. Larsa Pippen has an OnlyFans, but she hasn't
Who's,
posted anything on it.
who's
She
that?
has an OnlyFans. Larsa Pippen is
That
the
sounds like something on
ex-wife.
the British Bake Off.
It's very much so. Larsa Pippen. Oh, a nice Larsa Pippen.
It's such a
Soggy
nice red
bottom.
bottom. Yes.
This Larsa Pippen actually does not have a soggy bottom. Her bottom is phenomenal, even though I'm pretty sure it's enhanced. I don't give a fuck. But she was the ex-wife of NBA player Scottie Pippen. She was on the Basketball Wives of
Got it.
Miami.
Okay, that's why she
And
sounds
she
familiar.
was one of Kim Kardashian's best friends for like a hot minute. Again, I know all of this information against my will. I swear to God. She had an OnlyFans to promote her line of clothing, but she hasn't
Okay.
posted anything on it. And it's like that. I mean,
Yeah.
is it still a OnlyFans if you don't have anything posted on there? Here's a question
Maybe she doesn't have fans.
to my naive. Here's a question for men of my naive sensibilities here, right?
Okay.
As a gay man,
Okay.
ish. If you do, I don't know if you know because you just said you're not
I
into feet.
cringe. I cringe whenever I have to represent the community.
I know that's why I'm saying naive. I prefaced it with naive and like I'm like all of these things. Here's my thing: if you have a foot fetish, does it matter who the foot belongs to? Does it matter the gender that the foot belongs to? Again, not really the person to ask because you just said you're not into
I
feet.
don't like feet, but that's a great question. I would have to say probably
Okay,
because
because if you like dudes' feet, you probably like bigger feet type of shit. Is that
right, it probably ties back to like if you like, if again, it's all tied to sexual preference, right? So if
find the friend? Find me somebody who's into feet, a gay man who's into feet, and ask that question.
uh, I'll ask at the next meeting.
No, I know. You don't have friends. You don't have fucking friends. There's not a meeting. I can tell you right now. I know off the top of my head. You ask me right now. Find me a heterosexual guy that's into feet. 2 names pop up at the top of my fucking head. Be like, I there's 2 guys I know.
See, I don't know anyone off the top of my head. I don't
See?
know anyone off the top of my head. I know
We
just a lot of. I just know a lot of sluts, but not
Oh,
necessarily,
that's so
that
true.
whittled down.
Yeah, that doesn't help a lot. That doesn't help this
No.
conversation a lot.
You know what?
Let
I'll
me
take a
see.
poll. Pride is coming up in Miami Beach. I'll take a poll.
Right. And again, I love the fact that you were like, I'll ask him at the next meeting. And I'm like, no, I'm not that guy. I'm just saying, I know my friends and I know my friends' preferences. I can tell you who prefers ass over titties and all this bullshit. I can tell you all that. But I don't know anybody who's gay and into feet. All the feet guy I know are straight. Or heterosexual.
I think it also. I mean, again, I'm sure there are gay men who are into feet. Duh, there's fetishes for everything. But I think it also comes back to like, especially with women, the whole fetishization of like with the high heels and the boots and the like all of the sexy footwear, which men don't necessarily have. At least not in the same way. So I think that's probably why I would say statistically, there's probably more straight guys that are into it.
I will. That's a good point. That's a good assumption. I will say I'm not into feet, but I do appreciate a good woman's shoe. Like when a woman is wearing a nice shoe.
Yes.
Like I appreciate that. I'm always one to be like that. Like when I'm working on cruise ships and I see a woman with like high heels or whatever kind of, it doesn't have to be high heels, but whatever kind of shoe, I'm like, that's a nice shoe. And I will say that it's nothing sexual. There's nothing like, I'm fucking thinking about her shoes later. But
I agree with you. But I'm gonna asterisk that and say if they know how to walk in them. If you got nice shoes and you look like a baby giraffe that just came out of the womb, No.
See, as a straight guy, that to me is a sign. Like she doesn't. she's a wounded wound. Wildebeest.
Pray.
Like, oh shit, let's go, guys. That's not my joke. That's a million different. A
Oh.
million comedians have that kind of joke. So all right, now it's time for the "Am I the Asshole" segment that we
All
do on
right.
the show, and it's "Am I the Asshole." We don't have a song for this. We have a song for everything else, but we
Oh,
don't have
I
a
love
song
I
for
love a theme song.
"Am I the Asshole." Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Yeah. All right. So am I the asshole? The title is Am I the asshole because I ate more than quote my share of a 6 foot party sub last night? Now the rules to Am I the asshole is that we can only go based upon what is written on there. We can't assume that this person blah blah. We gotta like go with
Okay.
what's
Just
written.
based on the facts.
Well, the facts according to this person.
Okay.
Anybody who's watched the movie The Last Duel knows that facts are kind of interchangeable depending on who's telling the
That's
story.
true.
This is the story.
Okay.
What I thought would be a total non-issue has ballooned into a huge problem, and I'm up at 7:05 a.m. dealing with it. Just hilarious already.
Constipation.
Already. That's so funny. I figured while I wait for a text, I could post here to see if what I did was really that bad. I'm a big fat ass. There's no way around it. You know what? Honesty. Like your honesty. Shout out to you, sir. I'm a big fat ass. There's no way around it. I love to eat, which probably borders on addiction, but I figure since I'm only hurting myself, it's probably better to just live my life. That's also addiction, sir. I have some great friends, although there is no doubt I'm the quote harmless, funny token fat guy of the otherwise pretty good looking group. I guess that sets the stage enough. First of all, to answer any questions from what anybody may be asking already, no, I, Neri Science, did not write this post. So just want to go ahead and put that out there because I know there's a lot of people asking that fucking question, hearing this, and they're like, oh, Neri wrote this. Neri fucking wrote this. All right. Last night my friend hosted UFC and I was invited. He got a 6 foot party sub. I also brought homemade wings that are sort of my specialty.
So his
Well,
friend provided the sub,
the sub, and he
and he
provided the
brought
wings.
wings. Okay.
Well, of course, people flocked to the food, and I had basically one serving of the sandwich, but people devoured my wings, and I didn't get to have a single one, which is totally fine. That's why I brought them. But maybe an hour later, I was starving. You weren't starving, sir. You were just, okay. You have fat people. I'm sorry. And this is very relatable to me. I kept eyeing the sandwich, and I'd say there was about 3 feet of it left. I waited an hour, then another half hour, and no one had touched it. But they were still munching on fucking chips, pretzels, and whatnot. He didn't say fucking. They are still munching on chips, pretzels, and whatnot. So I was like, screw it. I took about half of what was left and ate it. Then the last half sat for another 10 or 15 minutes and no one said anything. So I ate the rest. So this man ate more than 3 feet of fucking of a
Okay.
6 foot.
So let's
He
say
had
about
his serving.
okay. So
He
his
had his
serving.
serving. Then there
Okay.
was 3 feet left, and then he ate those 3 feet.
So he probably ate like 3.25 or 3.5
Right.
or something. Okay.
Over half of the
Okay.
fucking 6 foot sandwich. Okay. Just to make sure. Well, to be sure I was swallowing the last bite. Or to be sure I was swallowing the last bite, the host girlfriend asked me where the sandwich was. Oh, to be sure, as I was, I don't know why he said it like that. Like I was the guilty party. Pretty much everyone pointed at me. I guess they noticed me eating the sandwich. Sure.
Well, I
you
mean, he
ate
was the
half.
guilty party in the sense that he did finish the sandwich. In that respect,
You
he
you
is the
ate
guilty party.
more than half the sandwich. I like the fact that he's like, I guess I'm the guilty party. Like, yeah, motherfucker,
no,
you
no.
ate more than half
Like,
the sandwich.
And I'm not even judging you. I'm saying, yes, you are the guilty party. You ate the rest of the sandwich. Like in this
Yeah,
context of that, you are the guilty party, sir. Yes.
Yeah. There's I'm guilty. I'm totally saying that. Yeah. He was a guilty party. I guess they'd noticed I guess they'd noticed me eating the sandwich. She was furious and said that I was that was an incredible pig, that I was an incredible pig, and that I had been super selfish to eat 3 feet of sandwich. I felt so bad. I tried to explain to her what really did wait over an hour and thought people had lost interest. I also
Yeah.
tried to explain how everyone had eaten the wings that I brought and she said something along the lines of, "quote You brought them to share, Alan. If someone had eaten over half by themselves, that's not fucking sharing, is it?" Solid point. I offered to order pizza or even go get Subway, and she said that it was pathetic. It was a pathetic offer because that party sub had been from a local shop owned by her friends. I said I was
Get
sorry,
over
but that
yourself, bitch. I mean,
I
I'm
said I
sorry.
was I said I was sorry, but that night was so tense from then on. I woke up this morning to several texts from my twin sisters, the host, which is the host girlfriends and best friend, saying that I had to get my shit under control and that everyone is really mad at me and that I embarrassed myself last
Okay,
night. I
wait. So
tried
hold
to.
on. So the one who said who's like telling him you're a fat ass, that was one of his sisters.
No, the girl who yelled at the guy was not one of his sisters. She's saying I woke up this morning to text from my twin sisters, the host girlfriend's best friend. So the best friend of the host girlfriend. So the girl who goes, "Oh, you're a pig." Her best friend is one of his twin
One of his twin
sisters.
sisters. Okay, got
Right.
it, got it. Okay. Because I was gonna say,
I
well, I mean,
I
if it's
think I think
your sister can kind of get away with calling you, you know what I mean?
a
Like your
fucking pig.
sibling. Well, your sibling can get away with things in a way that other people can't, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Let me see here. To get my shit under control and that everyone is really mad at me and that I embarrassed myself last night. I tried to explain to them what my mindset had been, and
I was hungry.
They haven't responded. Was I the asshole for eating that much of a sandwich last night? Edit.
No.
Edit. I guess I have been banned from responding, but my inbox has 1,200 notifications, so I can't find out why. To answer what seems to be the most common misconception, this wasn't a Subway party sub, so definitely not four of the same size of regular sub. This was a local place, so it's about 1.5 times the width of a regular sub. It's still a ton of food, don't get me wrong. But I can down 5 Subway footlongs in an afternoon easily. This is a big dude, man. This is probably about the equivalent to that. Not 12 like some people are saying. So apparently this was a really popular post X amount of time ago. That this is making the rounds.
Okay.
So ish, based upon the facts, is the fat guy the asshole?
I think he's a little. He could be accused of being a little inconsiderate, but
Mhm.
I don't think he's an asshole. He brought food to the party. So number one, he didn't just show up empty-handed, right? So okay,
Right.
he waited about an hour to see.
Right.
He waited. It's not like he got there and he made his plate and he's like, "Well, here's my 3 feet. The rest is for you." Right? Like he made the rounds. There was other things to eat. He saw people were munching or what have you. And when he then was called out by who I have to assume is the worst hostess in the world, okay, because you don't make your guests feel like shit.
Yeah.
Which is why I was asking, like, is that his sister? Because that's one of those
Right.
situations where, okay, he offered to, I'll buy pizza. He offered to go get more food, and she basically did the hissy fit equivalent of like, but that's not the point. It's like, no, it is
Right.
the point. You're
Yeah.
down food. Actually, let me take a step back here. I will bet the money I don't have that this was not a Latin house.
Oh, of course
Okay,
not.
because
That
Latinos,
wouldn't be the only food in the house.
yeah, exactly. Latinos, we prefer that mejor que sobra que falte. Okay, we prefer
Yeah.
that I have leftover food when everybody leaves, than face that embarrassment of not enough
No, so
food.
va a haber
Okay,
croqueta, vamos a hacer bocadito, vamos a it's gonna be a
there's
lot
at
of food.
least 4 entrees. Okay, and entrees like
El
there's
arroz imperial, el arroz
right,
imperial. There's
right.
a lot. There's a lot.
There's a Stouffer's lasagna somewhere. Like it's just So
Who brought the
no, I don't.
pizza? Fucking weirdos.
Yeah, like pizza, son comida. But I don't think he's an asshole. I mean, look, should he have eaten? Maybe not. Maybe. But I'm a fat boy too. Okay, I know my friends know when they invite me over, like yo voy a comer, and if I showed up and I waited and nobody's eating and blah blah, and I eat it, no, that's not there for an hour. You can't come and reclamarme now and be all like, oh, but like no, that's not there for an hour. Nobody
Yeah.
touched it. So what
Yeah.
like, and if you were saving it, Miss Horrible Hostess, for like tomorrow for your snack or whatever, you should have got some on a little plate. You should have put it away.
And
So
you get the
no,
you get
no,
the
you're
little
not an asshole.
sandwich. You put it away. You get the centerpiece. You take it home with you.
Exactly. These are the rules, people. I don't make them up. I just follow them.
I would. Okay, so I will say two things. I definitely think the hostess is by far the bigger asshole
Yes.
in this
Yes.
situation. She was a really bad hostess, and it was really fucked up of her to go at this guy who's clearly a really. This is a big dude, man. This isn't. This
Yeah.
isn't. If you could down 5 Subway footlongs in an afternoon, that's a situation, homie.
Yeah.
Aside from that's a serious amount of food. Aside from that, it's a serious amount of money. That's
That
fucking
story sounds
$50.
like
That's
yeah.
$50 that you're taking by yourself on Subway. That's not $50 of fucking filet mignon.
Well, they're
It's
buy one get ones on Tuesdays, so maybe.
I okay. Okay.
That sounds like a casting call, honestly, for like TLC's My 600-Pound Life. Like to your
it's a
point,
situation.
he
But
doesn't.
I
sound
will
like
say so. I will say this. I think the girl was the asshole for that because he did offer to buy more food and did offer to compensate. I will say that he messed up on a couple of occasions. He should have asked, "Is anybody else gonna have any more of the
Okay,
sandwich?"
that's fair.
That's a normal question to ask. Coming from a fat boy, coming from somebody that at my heaviest a year ago was weighing 368 pounds.
Jeez, man, really?
I was fucking there. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a different story this year, but 2020 was really I gained 68 pounds in 2020 and I was already at 300. So it wasn't like, oh shit. So my whole point to is I'm a big dude. I was a bigger dude. But my point is I know the fat boy rules. Anybody else gonna have this? Are you gonna have that? Can I have this? Like those are the fucking questions you have to ask. Hey, anybody else gonna you can't just assume, Alan, that nobody's gonna have fucking 3 feet of fucking come on. Like even as a fat dude, you have to separate the fat brain from the regular brain. Like I know I could down 3, like you know what I mean? Like if he knows I could down these 3 feet of fucking sub, like I know that these people aren't me. And if he's self-aware enough to know that he's the quote-unquote funny fat guy in the group, then he should know that these people don't eat like me.
Right.
So if they don't eat like me, is anybody gonna have any more of this? Like, can I have some? Whatever the fuck it is. That's the only thing I could fault him for, but he did try to make up for it afterwards. I will say on a real note, and this is a comedy podcast, and I know it's a lot, but this hits real close to home for me because I was at 368 last year. I would say this dude has a problem.
Oh no, for sure.
His whole thing of like it's bordering on addiction.
No, you're there.
There's no border. There's no border, Alan. You're in the fucking middle. You're landlocked in the land of addiction, bro. Coming from somebody who's been there, who was there, who continues to fight every single day to stay the fuck away from that. That's a situation, man. Like you're like, oh, I'm only hurting myself. No, you're not. Because when you die, there are loved ones that are gonna fucking miss you, and there are fucking friends that are gonna have to carry your casket, and that's gonna be heavy as fuck. You're affecting other people, Alan. So,
Tom's hernia is on you, Alan.
I had to joke it up. No, that there's a way, no pun intended. There's a way bigger problem here than fucking eating a 3-foot sub, and he needs there's a situation. Hey man, we all have an awakening call. I had one last year. I had an awakening call. I had that type of moment where I hurt my back wiping my ass. And when you pull your back, wiping your ass, that's a fucking call, man. That's like, shit. You think I should do something? He's like, yeah. You should fucking do something. When you're faced with the fucking dilemma, you're faced with the dilemma of like, do you continue to physically hurt yourself by straining your back even more? And I don't mean like, ow, my back hurts. I mean like, oh my God, I can't move. I can't fucking move. When it's to the point of deciding whether or not you're gonna hurt your back physically more so, or clean your ass or have a fucking crusty ass and walk out, that's a situation, bro. There's an awakening. This 3-foot sub might be an awakening moment, bro. It should be. It could be. I'm just saying everybody's different. I get you. I know what you're feeling, but let me see here. We got a couple comments here. George was asking a few things. He says, shoes, are you a Kardashian? You looking for those red bottoms? That's sexy as fuck, though. Not for nothing, but a woman with a red bottom shoe is fucking sexy, dude. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not a sexual thing, by the way. I don't look at shoes and heels and be like, oh my God, those fucking those heels, those 3-inch heels. I don't do it. I just appreciate
head to close.
I appreciate a good looking shoe. I go like, that's a good shoe. That's a good looking shoe. Both on men as well. When I see guys rocking really clean, fucking dope sneakers, I'm like, yo, those sneakers are fucking dope. Like that's the same thing. I don't go there and be like, oh, fucking Air Jordans. Oh my God, yeah. Getting weirdo. Pico says, George says, am I the asshole? He says, no, porque no me invitan si sabes que como me pongo. That's hilarious. That's, by the way, one of my favorite fucking phrases. Porque me invitan si saben como yo me pongo. You can't blame your guest for eating your food. Plus, offering the pizza was a good call. I would have made him order us food.
Well, the beauty is you wouldn't have had to make him because he offered.
He
Like
offered,
it wasn't
right.
even like you would have had to force him. You if the minute he said, "Oh, I can," you'd be like, "You know what? Cool. Order 3 pizzas or whatever," and he would have done it.
Yeah. George is also commenting on the weight thing. He says that he was 300 pounds in 2020, and he would have eaten that sandwich by himself if he sat there for an hour. I agree, man. I think the big mistake here is him not asking, hey, is anybody gonna eat and can I have more of this? I'm still hungry, guys. Can I have more of this? Or how about you take that money for that pizza you were gonna order and order yourself a fucking pizza, Alan?
Right. Does anybody mind if I order something, or do you? I'm gonna order a pizza. Does anybody want something, or
Anybody want something? Anybody want anything on the pizza? No? Okay. 3 pizzas, guys. That was me, by the way. That's a real story that really happened. I was in Vegas for a bachelor party. This is 1,000 years ago. And Pizza Hut at that time had a 5-5-5 deal, where if you buy 3 pizzas, it's $5 each, right? So I'm asking Pizza Hut, I'm like, what deals do you have? They're like, oh, we have the 5-5-5 deal. And I go, what's that? And he goes, well, you have to order 3. The guy's telling me from Pizza Hut, you have to order 3 pizzas. And if you order 3 pizzas, they're $5 each. I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes, but if you don't order, it has to be all 3. It's 3
so
or nothing.
Order 2, it's not 5, right?
If then he tells me each pizza is 12 or $14 each, or 3 for 15 total, right? So, but they don't hear that. Nobody in the fucking hotel room with me, none of my friends hear all this information. I go, what are the deals? And he goes, 5-5-5. He explains the whole deal. And I go, hey, you gonna eat some? I'm pointing at my friends. Hey, you gonna eat some? No. Are you gonna eat some? No. I'm going around the room. There's like 8 of us. Nobody's gonna have any. So I go, you gonna have some? No. You gonna have some? No. You gonna have some? No. All right, let me get the 3 pizzas. Like, that's what I'd say. And so all these fucking people here is Neri going, you gonna have some? No? All right, I'll order 3 pizzas for myself. Like, they thought, and I'm like, it's the fucking deal. It was the deal. It was a 5-5-5 deal. Like,
I guarantee when the pizza showed up, all them motherfuckers had a slice.
No, they went to the strip club, and I literally sat there by myself and ate all fucking 3 pizzas, like a fat fuck that I was and have been, and you know, hopefully will never be again. But still, yeah, I fucking did it too. Yeah, you see, George understands. You gotta save that money, bro. You get,
deal's a deal, no hold on.
Yeah, fucking 5-5-5. Like, what am I gonna buy? 1 pizza for $14 or 3 for 15? What am I, a fucking sucker here?
I graduated high school. Shit.
Barely, but I fucking did it. Anyways, yeah. So I don't think he's the asshole, but I do think Alan has a problem. Gotta go check that out. Anyways, thank you guys for checking us out. That's a podcast. Ish, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having
Tell
me.
people where they can meet you. What's your Instagram handle? What's your information? Your social media handle?
So my personal one is at IJL26 and
IJL26.
Yep, 26. And for the podcast, it's Pero Let Me Tell You. So check us out.
Let me.
No, it's the whole thing. Pero Let Me Tell You. Yeah.
Okay. Pero Let Me Tell You.
Yeah.
For the non-Spanish speaking audience, just know the way you spell pero is P-E-R-O.
Yes.
Pero
it's not dog. Let me tell you. So it's not.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Yeah.
Correct. I check out. They're on geekbro.net. So check out. Like I mentioned every week, and I know you don't listen to the podcast, but this is true story. I swear to God, every week I say the same thing. I end up and I say, make sure to check out the other podcasts on the Geek Bro Network, which include, but are not limited to, Pero Let Me Tell You, Mount Geekmore, the Comedy Fitness Podcast, Shiver, Horror Movie Podcast, Kick Flicks, the Martial Arts Movie Podcast, and Cramacopia with Jeff and Q. Anyway, so thank you guys. Thank you again for being on here, Ish. I appreciate you. Love you. Dude, this is a good time, right? Because I know when I called you, you're like, I've never heard a podcast. What do we do? I'm like, brother, it's just gonna be shit.
You literally called me. I was at the gym on my back, like in between abdominal sets. So it was, I was like,
say that slower. Say that slower.
So I'm all sweaty. I'm like, shit. Do I have time to get home and shower? And
this is a good. What's a domino set for the non-gym listeners? This is a good one.
What's a domino?
Because that's not. Yeah, because I usually go with supersets is what I work out with.
So I don't know what a domino set is. When you said domino set,
you just said it's a domino set. You just said I was in the middle of a domino set.
Abdominal.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Set.
Oh,
sorry,
thank God. I was like, what the fuck is a domino set? I don't know what the fuck that is.
No.
Oh, okay, makes sense. All right. Yeah. I still don't know what abdominal is. I don't know what that. I don't fucking do crunches. Fuck out of here. Anyways, thank you guys for having us. Ish, appreciate you being on here. Go to my website is neryscience.com or whatwashisname.com. Shout out to anybody who's listening to the audio version of this, who came out to the Angela Johnson show at the Miami Improv. You guys were fantastic. Appreciate that. And now on Instagram, if you search my name, there's gifs of me. There's gifs of my comedy logo, and there's gifs of the podcast of WuBro, of Kickflix, and of Geekmore. We actually have gifs that you could post. So
On
if
your
you ever
story?
like, yeah, in the Instagram stories, you could actually search.
Nice.
Either you could search Nary Signs or search WuBro or search whatever, and we actually have little animated gifs to be like, oh, new episode, and be like,
I'm
that's
just sorry that whoever's only listening to this audio didn't see you do the little dance.
Oh no,
For the
this
gift
shit right here.
dance.
This is why we have. This is why we do the video. So this shit right here. This is like, all right. Thank you very much. That's how winning is done. Appreciate you guys.